Here are the top posts from Who Would Win on the 7th of November 2019.
Coach S. How the hell can Batman take out all the dojo villains in Gotham?
Pudding Penguin. Only seen parts 1 to 3. Know most of the story 4 to 5. Casual Batman knowledge. Kira, Brando, and Wimmu are pretty run-of-the-mill Batman villains, making easy first picks. Batman would probably need to target Kira as one of the first to keep him from going into hiding. No idea how he'll keep him from blowing up his prison cell though. Defeating Wimmu nets him info on the Pillar Men plus stone masks. Maybe even Hammond. Making cars. easy. Dio and Dio easier targets, relatively speaking. No idea on how he can beat time-stop powers like the World or King Crimson, though.
Tripod 1. Is Kira getting his help from before in the form of a stand arrow-tossing picture ghost? Arthur of House Maxon. I am assuming Batman can't call for backup. I think Batman can take down the Pillar Men in Part 1 Dio. He's dealt with vampires before. Batman should have a chance against Kira too, since Kira doesn't have the resources of the other villains and won't stop thought patrolling. Batman has no counter for stands though. Part 3 Dio and Diavolo Donut Batman. They both have experience at leading organizations and there's no way to counter their time abilities.
Whonator. Every year, every human is shrunk, making them roughly 50% smaller. How long can humanity survive? Greg League Gaming Alt. Probably only 2 years or so until we're fucked. Until we die out a year more. Newborn children never grow and pretty much any child is fucked. Within 2 years the average person will be less than 2 feet tall. Unable to effectively work or fit into most equipment. Reaching tabletops becomes difficult to impossible, but we can probably all survive. Then the food stops coming. Farmers can't work tractors well. Food making becomes much harder and we rely on machine-made things more. Working those machines and buildings becomes impossible. No new buildings can be made effectively as no equipment is easily available to us to do it. Within 3 years we become prey again to many things. Dogs, cats and much more become legit threats and we don't have the weapons to defend ourselves. Rats and rodents now become a huge problem to ourselves at 1 foot tall or less. People in built-up areas suffer worst. Australia is fucked. Year 4 and we're tiny, less than Subway. Predators all around and just moving about is a problem. Children are born minuscule. Many don't survive longer than a year. Humanity pretty much starts to die. Heat and snow at this point become huge issues. Hard rain drowns us if we are not careful and caught out because we are not evolved to deal with it. Well-and-out clothes no longer fit. Even baby clothes are sold out worldwide. Slimevsters II. Like 3 years. Everything will become too large to use and traveling will take forever since we can't use vehicles.
Proofrock 451. By the end of year 1, the entire world will have shifted into overdrive on fixing this issue. A significant advantage will go to societies acculturated to higher population densities. Important to make the most of increasingly hard to use and hard to maintain infrastructure. Cooperative effort, and condition acceptance of top-down edicts. What I'm saying is we'll all be playing catch-up with China. By the end of year 2, humans are all the size of a newborn. Except for Yao Ming, who still stands a towering 22 inches. We'll live in makeshift communes with lots of ramps and scalable platforms. With lots of pulleys and counterweights and lever-based contraptions to deal with the insane challenge of merely living. For most people, clothing will now be simple utilitarian shifts and skirts. From our suddenly very ample supply of fabrics, meat consumption will have dropped dramatically. All agriculture will be extremely difficult. to say nothing of distribution. Population growth will, counterintuitively, climb for a while. After all, humans are humans, and by now condoms are virtually unusable. Birth control pills are extremely difficult to dose, and no one is getting a new IUD. However, our mortality rate is skyrocketing. Crowding will encourage diseases. Vaccination rates are crashing. Violence is increasing, and life-saving medical intervention is ever harder. In the United States today, 1 in 10 people go to the hospital every year. In year 2, I would not be shocked if 10% of the world's population died. We will have euthanized most of our pets and livestock. Most cities will be abandoned, or reduced to barely functional shantytowns as services break down. The desperate gambit of stashing capsules full of weapons and medical equipment and other vital resources within our shrinking bodies maintains some of our infrastructure and ability. But by the end of year 3, these interventions will be futile. At 6 inches tall, lighting a fire will be as much as most remaining communities can manage. Our vast numbers and ability to prepare will see many of us through. But it would be shocking if 1 billion humans were left at the end of year 3. By this point, it will be a struggle to overpower the roaches and centipedes that are desperately crowding into our last occupied buildings, let alone the starving mice and rats and cats that stalk the last guttering light of civilization. The best planned settlements will still have many luxuries: solar power, clean water, even satellite internet, since flipping a switch will by now require a project manager and the conscripted labor of an entire town. Much remaining technology will be controlled by hurling yourself at a touchscreen. Trained dogs will be responsible for heavy labor and defense. This phase of human existence can last perhaps another year or two, until our fading voices can no longer command the obedience of our dogs, and our strength is no longer equal even to the construction of shelter out of scraps of styrofoam and balsa wood. By now only a few million humans will be left, and a mere handful are infants. A few communities will last through year 5, but at this point we will be a critically endangered species. It will be virtually impossible to maintain our numbers with our current human frame, or to maintain all our genetic health though in our marriage with other communities. A small handful of isolated individuals might limp on for a decade, or even 2. But the human race is done.
Shoopster 4. Captain Seagull.
CHX Larm 1.
Blinda. Thanos has no powers in the Matrix, and Neo has no, very limited, powers in the real world. So this is a tough one. If you gave Thanos powers inside that Matrix, I think he might just break it.
Scooter FL. The MCU trio appears in the 616 universe. Who's the strongest they can beat?
Talon Ral. Honestly, I doubt they could even clear street tier. Even characters like Luke Cage and Iron Fist would be able to give them a run for their money. Comic durability feats are all considerably higher than their movie counterparts. Probably speed. 2. Tandril 91. Strongest I can think is maybe Colossus, potentially She-Hulk or 669 Man. The Dick Wolf. They could probably manage someone tougher, but imagining them team stomping Moon Knight makes me laugh. Greg League Gaming Alt. Who is the strongest person Ronald McDonald commercials can defeat?
Captain Seagull. He's got Toon Force on his side. I'd imagine he can take on Godzilla pretty handily. Godzilla's a beast, but Ronald McDonald has never been shown to get hurt. The King of Beans 42. Well, we know Goku can be taken down by heart disease.
Maleg the Tide Wrangler. Ronald can stop time for a seemingly indefinite period of time and bring whomever he chooses into the stop time with Hi Monsieur. Use this information how you will. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.